daylight revealed scenes that the sheriff described as looking like a World War I battlefield.
Blessed are the eyes that see what you see. For I tell you, many kings and prophets have desired to see what you see, and have not seen it. To hear what you hear, and have not heard it. I thank you, Father, for hiding these things from the learned and the wise, and revealing them to the innocent and the simple.
Tonight in California, cars, homes, and lives swallowed by those deadly flash floods and mudslides.
We have multiple reports of people trapped.
It's our worst fear coming to life for us right now.
At least 13 are reported dead, 24 missing, scores more are injured. This 14-year-old girl pulled from the muck, authorities still in search and rescue mode, fearing those casualty counts will almost certainly rise.
The only words I can really think of to describe what it looked like was it looked like a World War I battlefield. It was literally a carpet of mud and debris.
It was a natural disaster, officials say, that was exacerbated by the Thomas Fire, the biggest in California history, which blackened hillsides and stripped them of anything that would absorb Tuesday's deluge. Up to 5 inches of rain pounded the region, the water coming down sometimes at a rate of more than an inch an hour.
The Carpinteria Fire Department has a rain gauge that recorded 0.54 inches in just 5 minutes.
Surging through creek beds with titanic force.
Look at all the water that came down through this dam, destroyed, it looks like, several vehicles and that RV there.
Overnight, the famed 101 freeway overrun.
We're retreating here, and you can actually feel debris hitting our car right now.
Closed for 30 miles in both directions.
And you can see how fast that water is moving here. I mean, that is a torrent of water.
Then, around 4 a.m., a catastrophic flow of mud and debris rushed towards homes.
You could start to see some mud starting to come down. And so right then I told my wife and the dog to get up on the bed. And I thought it would be a good idea to push on the door, which didn't really last very long. So then I ran and jumped on the bed, and basically in seconds it was as high as the countertops.
Emergency crews on rooftops and dogs padding through debris, searching for signs of life.
Our people are out there trying to do the best work they can and perform as many rescues as they possibly can.
Those rescuers sometimes trudging through mud that was chest high in the frantic search for the missing.
Do you think someone is in there?
We have a strong feeling someone's in that house. We're just trying to use our sonar equipment to hear voices.
So you think the person inside is still alive?
Not sure, but
hope.
Yeah, hope.
About a mile away from there, you see the size of these boulders. It gives you a sense of the power of the water to just heave these giant trees and giant rocks downstream. And it was there that Robert Riskin appeared. Slogging through hip-high mud, light was fading, and he said so was his hope of finding his mother.
I'm just in shock at this. This is unimaginable. I honestly, it's hard to, I'm just in shock.
Robert and his friends alone in this field of debris and despair.
This house was perfect, always. That's who she was, you know. Who she is, maybe.
We left them as they debated whether to go home or keep searching through the night.
We've been searching and calling, and I just hope that she's fast and she's not hurting.
All day, helicopters and high water vehicles ferrying families like Ben Hyatt's to safety.
I was worried that it was just going to keep coming and coming. Woke up my wife and we just did not know what to do because we were just surrounded by mud.
But some unable to escape the path of destruction in time.
So we had a wall of mud that must have been at least 8 to 10 feet high.
Did you actually see it coming towards you?
Yes,
Yeah.
and the boulders.
And it stopped basically at our kitchen. And then 2 other neighbors also ended up, a brother and a sister in our house also.
And they had lived up farther away.
And the sister didn't make it.
But they were washed up against the house.
They severed her leg.
so sorry.
So it's a huge tragedy.
A huge tragedy for a place that is still reeling from those disastrous fires that burned parts of this area all through December.
Well, the fire was the ultimate extenuating condition. Then the rain that hit so hard so fast was yet another extenuating condition. So we have two unusual occurrences happening at the same time. And what are the chances of that?
Think of it as like opening your freezer, but that cold taking over your whole house.
The blast of Arctic air has taken over whole sections of the country.
It felt like we were in the middle of Siberia or something.
In Philadelphia, an apartment fire battled in sub-zero wind chills killed 2 people, including a firefighter caught under collapsed debris.
Others were dealing with the unpleasant results of a violent storm. Cars frozen in a parking lot turned lake of ice in Revere, Massachusetts. And flooded basements after high winds sent waves bursting through a seawall in Scituate. That combination of winds, tide, and a supermoon produced the highest tide this area has ever seen.
In the south, icy weather conditions made for hazardous driving. 15 people were injured in a 35-car pileup on I-75 in Georgia. And in Tennessee, drivers also encountered slick roads. Lake Michigan and Chicago, a sea of slush. Farther north, New Hampshire's Mount Washington was the second coldest place on Earth this weekend at -90.
Well, this can't be a good sign in Florida. This week's winter weather caused iguanas to fall from the sky. Well, actually from the trees. According to the National Weather Service in Miami, temperatures in parts of South Florida dipped below 40 degrees on Thursday, causing the cold-blooded creatures to go belly up.
A colony of bats is on the verge of dying out following an Australian heat wave. Wildlife experts from a suburb of Sydney called Campbelltown posted pictures of the bats, known as flying foxes, on Facebook Monday, January 8th. The animal corpses can be seen piled up after dying of suspected dehydration, and the post says more than 400 died. Campbelltown, where the flying fox colony is located, was hit with temperatures as high as 45.1 degrees Celsius, or 113 degrees Fahrenheit, over the last few days. It is currently the middle of summer in Sydney, so it is expected to be hot. However, Australia is seeing its hottest temperatures in nearly 80 years, and wildlife are feeling the effects. Volunteers, however, have reportedly saved about 80 bats by hydrating them. According to the Bureau of Meteorology, the heat wave is expected to last through Tuesday.
It's been a dramatic change in life in less than 48 hours for people on the east coast of Madagascar. Ava was the latest cyclone to hit their island. It has now subsided, but it has left them homeless, sick, and in desperate need of help.
We are 6 in our family and our house is completely submerged in water. My child had a strong fever, so we decided to come here. From morning, the moment you step down from your bed, you are forced to walk in water. Water is everywhere, and that is the reason we came here.
Cyclone Ava sped up the east coast of the island on Friday before heading out to sea on Sunday. Heavy rains and winds of up to 190 kilometers an hour left a trail of destruction. Dozens died in floods and landslides. Up to 19,000 fled to temporary shelters. Hundreds of homes have been destroyed, roads submerged, schools shut down, and towns cut off from one another by the sudden appearance of new lakes. The region of Hot Matsiatra, 400 kilometers south of the capital Antananarivo, was worst affected.
We asked the state to come and see what we are going through and to look at our situation and find a solution to clear out the water, but it is stagnant and we don't know where to put our children.
Ava is not the first lethal storm to hit Madagascar in the last 12 months. In March, Cyclone Inao killed at least 78 people and destroyed large areas of crops. Rescue workers are struggling to cope with the phenomenon. And as the cycle of natural disasters returns to strike Madagascar, the financial cost as well as the human cost continues to rise. Powerful storms and poverty combining to deadly effect.
Forced to live out in the open, these Yemeni families have escaped the fighting near the border with Saudi Arabia. Now they have to bear the elements on the streets of Hodeidah. Their daily routine now for everyone to see. This war has displaced hundreds of thousands of people.
Now we sleep on the floor, no mattresses or blankets, and it is really cold. We have no income. Our children are suffering. If any of us fall sick, we cannot afford treatment. Our condition is really terrible. Needless to say, we are living in fear.
This war, now almost into its third year, is all about regional politics and control. The consequence of that has created what the UN calls the world's worst humanitarian crisis.
The situation in Yemen today, right now, to the population of the country looks like the apocalypse. We need to scale up our response. The cholera outbreak is probably the worst the world has ever seen, with 1 million suspected cases up to the end of 2017. This terrible new epidemic of diphtheria, a bacterial disease which should be completely preventable by immunization, has already affected up to 500 people, with dozens and dozens of deaths in the last few weeks. That is going to spread like wildfire.
And aid agencies are not able to access the majority of those in need.
We had to escape the war. Our life has turned upside down. We can't afford a decent meal. We're now begging to eat and feed our children. We're living in the streets on charity.
Some basic supplies are getting through, a blanket to keep warm. It is winter now, and temperatures drop at night, and a fire offers little comfort. These people face an uncertain future with no idea when they can go back home or what will be left of it once they do.